this is JC. Welcome to Missed Again, where every missed shot is a lesson. It's not about perfect play, it's about my struggles and honest progress. Today I'm going to share how I refine my cue ball speed control and positioning. Conventional teaching states that you need to develop a feel for cue ball control, and that is true. But as I always say, this is unhelpful to the beginner or advanced beginner. I hope to share some tools and practice routines that can provide a starting point for approaching speed control and positioning, as well as for honing your technique. There are two parts to cue ball speed control and positioning: stroke speed and type of spin applied if used. Let's start with discussing stroke speed first. That means focusing on just the stroke speed with center ball hits without any spin. I have set up a shot to pocket the 9 ball with a half ball hit to demonstrate various stroke speeds and where the cue ball ends up. I will first shoot with medium speed to establish a baseline. I discussed the half ball shot and its importance in a previous video that you can check out. My medium speed shot pockets the 9 ball, travels at approximately a 30-degree angle towards the top rail, and rebounds at the bottom rail. Using this medium shot as a reference on my stroke speed, it will give me an idea of where the cue ball will end up with a soft and hard hit. Now I will shoot with a soft stroke with the intention of the cue ball ending up nearer to the top half of the table. The stroke must be hard enough to pocket the object ball, but not too hard to rebound to the bottom rail. Now I will set up for a hard stroke. A hard shot tends to be a stun shot. That means the cue ball will slide towards the object ball and upon contact will travel along the tangent line at a 90-degree angle towards the cushion. So it will rebound at a wider angle than a medium or soft stroke. Of course, with a hard stroke, you need to be more accurate, otherwise you might miss as I did. Let me set up the ball again and try to pocket the ball with the same hard stroke. Pay attention to the wider angle the cue ball takes after contacting the object ball, and notice its speed when it comes off the cushion. Let's look at a practical example of using stroke speed for speed control. The same shot is set up, but there's an additional 8 ball on the bottom rail. I have to shoot the 9 and get to the 8 to win the game. As a beginner, I would have chosen to use medium speed to get close to the bottom rail for a straight-in shot on the 8. But this is not the best choice, as I will have to make an awkward long bridge or use an extension or a rest. The better choice would be to use a soft to medium speed stroke to bring the cue ball to the center of the table. While it will be a cut shot on the 8 ball, I will be able to reach it comfortably, and it is a relatively routine shot to make. In most cases, you would want to get the cue ball to the middle of the table so you have angles and more options for position play. Now I'll share a way to segment the table to create target zones to practice speed control. You need a roll of masking tape, and I recommend to get a narrow one which is about 6mm thick or about 1/4 inch thick. You will divide the table into 4 segments with 3 lengths of tape. Here I've segmented the table into 4 target zones. This will give you visual references to practice your stroke speed and cue ball control. To start calibrating your stroke speed as well as to get used to the tablecloth speed and bounce off the cushions, you can just shoot the cue ball straight without any object balls. Place the cue ball near the bottom rail. Pick a target line, for example, the top line, and try to shoot the cue ball up to the top rail, bounce back, and stop as close to the top line as possible. Next, pick another line. This time, I'll pick the bottom line. Using the first shot as a reference, I try to calibrate my stroke speed to bring the cue ball up and down the table and get as close to the bottom line as possible. Pick any line and practice any distance of shots you like, even up and down the table hitting 2 rails. The next practice routine is to practice your cue ball speed control with straight-in shots. Try to shoot the object ball into the corner pocket and control where the cue ball ends up. For example, I want to keep the cue ball in this second zone after I shoot the object ball. Of course, I can use a stop shot, but that is not the purpose of this practice routine. I use a center ball hit with a soft stroke to pocket the ball and control the cue ball. Next, I'll set up the same shot, but this time I'll try to get the cue ball to end up in the third target zone. I will shoot with a center ball hit, but with a slightly harder stroke to pocket the object ball and allow the natural forward roll of the cue ball to end up in the chosen target zone. These positions are arbitrary and you can choose any positions or distances you want. You can practice such shots from any position, including draw shots, to bring the cue ball back to a target zone. Finally, I'll repeat the same shot, but target the topmost zone for the cue ball to end up. I also do not want to hit the top rail to make it more difficult. For this shot, I use top spin, that is, a follow shot to pocket the object ball and control the cue ball to the target zone. Once you have practiced the previous shots, you can move on to cut shots. This is where the relationship between ball hits and speed comes into play. Previously, we shot straight in shots, which are full ball hits between the cue ball and object ball. In full ball hits, most of the energy of the rolling cue ball is transferred to the object ball, and the natural forward roll of the cue ball causes it to travel a distance after contacting the object ball. However, when you hit a half ball hit, only half of the speed of the cue ball is lost, as only half of its energy is transferred to the cue ball. I will shoot the cue ball in the center with a soft stroke and try to pocket the object ball. However, ignore the object ball and observe the path the cue ball travels. It traveled approximately twice the distance compared to a full ball hit. Now let's try a 1/4 ball thin cut. This is approximately a 15-degree or less cut angle. In this shot, you can expect the cue ball to travel even further than before for two reasons. The first is because you're contacting less of the object ball, so even less energy is transferred to the object ball. Second, because it is a thin cut, a slightly harder stroke is needed so that the object ball will be hit hard enough to travel the distance across the table to the pocket. This means the cue ball is going to travel more than double the distance as the half ball hit. In this case, it will hit the cushion and end up in the middle of the table away from the rails. Practice different cut shots from different positions with different target zones in mind to see how you can reach them. Let's try a different object ball position and work on both our speed control and positioning. Now for positioning, besides speed control, you also need to use side spin to manipulate the rebound angle of the cue ball off a cushion. If you have not, watch my video on when to use side spin. From the previous example, we know that a center ball hit will bring the cue ball to the second target zone from the right, so we'll skip that and choose the rightmost target zone. To get the cue ball to that zone, we will need to use reverse English or right spin in this case to change the natural rebound angle of the cue ball off the cushion so that it will travel to the right. I hit at 1 o'clock with a medium stroke. This brings the cue ball off the rail and to the target zone. Let's reset the shot and this time choose the leftmost target zone. There are at least two ways to get to this zone. Both require left spin to widen the rebound angle of the cue ball off the cushion. In the first attempt, I hit at 10 o'clock to bring the cue ball 2 rails to get to the target zone. A slightly stronger than medium speed brings the cue ball the required distance across the table. Let me try the other way, and that is by using low spin to create a wide rebound angle of the top rail to the target zone. A medium speed stroke is all that is needed to bring the cue ball to the target zone, as it is contacting only one rail and covering a shorter distance. Let's try a different object ball position, but the same leftmost target zone. Again, there are at least two ways to get the cue ball to that zone. I could hit the cue ball low and draw the cue ball back and to the left and end up in the target zone. I can also use a more straightforward path with a center ball hit and natural roll of the cue ball. A soft to medium center ball hit will send the cue ball off the top rail to the target zone. Now I'll attempt a more challenging shot with the same ball position, but I've chosen the rightmost target zone. I'll need to go multi-rail around the table to make it. This is where side spin is very useful. It will accelerate the speed of the ball when it comes off a cushion. I shoot at 10 o'clock to have some top spin as well and visualize the stroke speed I need to bring the cue ball the required distance. Now we're going to increase the difficulty by creating more target zones to refine our cue ball speed control and positioning. As you can see, I've added one more strip of masking tape in the middle to divide the table into 8 target zones. For beginners to low intermediate players, these 8 target zones will be good enough to help refine your cue ball control and positioning. You can, of course, further divide the table by diamond positions as you advance your game. The objective of this practice routine is to pocket a ball and direct the path of the cue ball to end up in a chosen target zone. Let's try some examples. I'll try to pocket the object ball and end up in this top right target zone. I used a soft shot, but I still overshot the target zone as it is hard to hold the cue ball there due to the position of the object ball and the closeness of the target zone. Instead, the better approach, at least for me, is to go 2 rails. I also discussed this in a previous video on when to use the cushion for position play. I will shoot at 1 o'clock to have a combination of top and side spin. This brings the cue ball up and down the width of the table to end up in the chosen target zone. Let's try another target zone. This time, I'll try the second top zone from the left. Again, there are at least 2 ways to get to this position. I can either try to draw off with left spin off the top rail or go 2 rails up and down again, although there may be a danger of scratching. I'll first try with a draw shot, hitting at 7 o'clock to spin off the top rail. I missed the shot, but got the cue ball near the target zone. However, this is not really a good gauge since I missed the shot anyway. I'll try again and make an adjustment aiming for the same target zone. While I made the shot, I overshot the target zone badly. I definitely need to work on the speed control for this type of shot. Let me try going 2 rails, which I'm more comfortable with. With the right speed and spin, I'm confident I can avoid scratching. I shoot at 11 o'clock to bring the cue ball up and down and open up the angle so the cue ball ends up in the chosen target zone. As with all practice routines, vary the positions of the object ball and cue ball and try to get the cue ball to different target zones after pocketing the object ball. Make it as challenging or easy as you want, and most importantly, have fun. Well, that's it for this video. Hopefully you can benefit from this approach and the practice routines to refine your cue ball speed control and positioning. Bear in mind that this is not the only way to work on your cue ball control, and you should experiment with different approaches and drills that might work better for you. I'm just sharing some ways I'm benefiting from these routines. If you have better approaches, please do share them in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Every miss makes us better, so let's grow together. My name is JC. Try not to miss again.